welcome into a special episode of the SorareData Football Strategy Show. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Today, talking to 3 Sorare managers all about how they use traders and bots. I sat down last week with Tugford, Scosmo, and Itshaber, all about how they started using traders, how they use them now, whether they have any tips or tricks for getting deals done with them, and generally their overall opinions on traders. I had a fun time talking to all 3 of them about how they get deals done with these traders, and I hope you do too. So without further ado, let's get into it. So joining me now is Tugford, also known as Tuggy for those who watch a lot of SorareData content. Tuggy is one of the ones who I actually talk to a lot about dealing with traders, and it's become a big part of the platform for me, both talking to Tuggy and talking with traders. So Tug, thank you so much for coming on, first off.
Thank you. First time listener, first time caller.
There we go. There we go. So there has been talk on this channel about how you have done previous deals with traders, but we're not going to go into the weeds on all of them. We may talk about a few of them though. But what is it about the traders that at least first got you to start using them and basically continue to use them?
So the first time I actually used one was our good friend, Roadie Boss. He actually hit me up one time asking if I was looking to sell players. And I didn't realize he was a trader at the time. Like, he very kind of used car salesman himself into it. And I was like, oh, never thought about it. Like, yeah, these are guys I'll kind of get rid of. And then he gave me an offer. I'm like, yeah, like I don't need them. I don't use them anymore. Like, I can use the ETH. And then I looked and like, oh, this guy's just like a flipper. And like, he's totally reselling them. I'm like, called him out on it. He's like, yeah, like I'm a trader. I was like, damn, he got me.
Yeah.
What they're good, like I use them because like a lot of times they have liquidity, especially right now, like because I don't do limiteds where there's plenty of liquidity. Yeah, I focus on rares, and as that market's gone dipped a lot, if you need to get out of a card, like if they give you an option of being able to get in, like you can do like a race to the floor with people where you're just undercutting, and next thing you know, like your floor is already cut by 20% because each person keeps undercutting. Or you can just go to a trader and take the 75-80%. And that's fine. Like if you're the floor price, people are still going to undercut you 10-15% anyway. So it's like just catch the falling knife here or catch it down here.
I think that is a really good point though, that people kind of overlook, that they don't want to give up the 20%, but then when you go to sell the card, unless it's like really a card that's actually moving up, because like usually we tend to want to sell cards that we think will go down because we want to get out of them. And yeah, the haircut that you end up taking anyway because of the floor cutting is really what gets you.
And like they also have like some of them, like Roadie Boss, Powell, they have like better cards in their gallery because people go to them. Like when people are looking for cards, they don't necessarily look at the market. They go to the traders and like, oh, this is a card that can help me. So then it might not be a card they're looking for, but it's something they find and like, okay, and then they offload cards and other people will go to them looking for cards like, oh, this card can help me. So it's people go to them and like they end up getting good cards. And like you said in the last stream a couple times ago, sometimes you just got to jump on it and like these cards aren't going to be there, and like they generally have better prices because they've undercut people or they've neutered people. So you can get the good deals from them. And like they're definitely better if you're going to be buying from them and selling. Like that's a given. But I mean, they give you an opportunity to get out of your mistakes or test out new strategies.
I think that's such an underappreciated point, that there are lots of people who buy cards or trade cards from these traders that they weren't necessarily looking to buy. It was just an opportunity that they see. And I realized that a little bit ago with my own card. I forget what card it was, to be honest, but like I kept trying to sell it and I was essentially undercutting myself. Like there wasn't really that many people who wanted it, but that was probably why I had to keep lowering it. But I remember I was able to trade it to, I think it was Pavel actually. And within like a day, he sold it for more than my previous floor price. And I was like, how does this happen? Like, this guy could have gotten the card, whoever bought it, could have gotten it cheaper from me 2 days ago, but they weren't looking. And I think there's just such a focus by so many users on all of the traders, not just Pavel or Roadie Boss and the bots now, that not that they make you end up getting cards that you don't want, but it's like cards you didn't think you wanted, and you're like, oh, this is another opportunity. And even if it's to get one to flip it to somebody else, like there's just so much more scrutiny on their galleries that make their billboard is much bigger than ours. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's like a swap meet. For people in Europe who don't know what a swap meet is.
Yeah. So how have you been like using them recently? Like, actually, let me rephrase this. Has your I don't want to call it a relationship, but has your usage of the traders, meaning like Pavel or Roadie Boss or Super Usmane or anyone else who claims 125% in their Sorare name, changed at all because of the bots that just kind of automate the process?
Definitely, because like you can, like the other day I went to, because you can just, like talking to people can be a pain in the ass, and also waiting for them to respond. If you need to go quick, like you can. That's the nice thing too. You can like send an offer to like Basil and Sir Hiss. You can actually compare offers because I did the same offer to both of them, and Basil gave me like it was like 0.005 more for a trade I recently or a move I recently did. But like I try to use them more because they give a better deal, frankly.
It does feel that way. I don't know if it's the human element of feeling like you're getting screwed is gone, and you're just like, all right, because really, obviously there has to be somebody who puts in the rules for the bot. So that's a human that is doing it. But at some point, like the rules are the rules. And I know a lot of people use Ruve. I don't know if actually they pronounce it Ruve or what, but I'm going to. But so they kind of look at not necessarily inefficiencies, but like ways to beat the bot. Like you want to be able to end up with what you think is more than what you're getting in. And I know between Ruve and Sir Hiss and Basil, they all have different rules. And so, like you said, one could offer you more for a card than another. I actually had a situation earlier, literally today, where one offered me double what the other one did. And I don't like, not all of them show exactly like why they would value something one way versus another, but it is important to at least use a bunch of them to do that. Have you ever like sold a group of cards to one of the traders? And if so, did you like go to all of them and say, I'm trying to sell this. What do you want?
I mean, like the human traders?
Yeah.
No, because Powell doesn't respond. He doesn't. Like he responds sometimes, but it's very rare.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, usually I'll go to Roadie Boss because I mean, it's also like we've had a working relationship over the years. Yeah. I could be buying lots of cream from him at this point. But like Katoze, because I think he's Asian based.
Okay.
His hours are off, so he's hard to deal with. And Super Usmane, he doesn't really respond. So if I'm going to do it human, it's been like Roadie Boss.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to go away from them. Like I'm trying to use them for just buying, unless they have a card I really want. It's like, okay, you actually have this card I want. That's when I'll interact with them. But it's just it's so much easier and like less stressful and just more concrete with their bots.
Do you check like their galleries frequently?
Daily.
All right. I'm the same. Don't worry. No judgment.
When I do my 4 a.m. I have to take a piss. That's when I find some good deals on the traders. I'm guilty.
I don't think you're the only one.
You've called me out on that multiple times. Like,
I may have, yeah.
It's like
it's early morning for me is even earlier for you, based on where we
correct.
are. Do you have any like tips that you would give people who don't use the traders or the bots now that you think is like important that they do before they start to use them?
Definitely, like bots are useful to catch the knife on the way down. I like so basically go to SorareData. If there's a lot of movement, like a lot of movement on a card, you don't necessarily need to use a bot because inherently they should be moving faster. Like if you see bigger gaps in a card, like sales, again, I deal with rares more, so there'll be a lot more spread out. So if you have a lot of rares with like sales happening, you don't necessarily need to use a bot unless it's like you need a card like within an hour or something. And like if cards on the upswing, definitely don't use a bot because if it's on the upswing, people are looking for it. Clearly, like there's a demand for it. Um, Bots can also be good though for like if you get a reward you don't really care about and you know it's not going to move. Your haircut doesn't really matter because it's not like you're taking a loss. It's like it's a free card, so you take 20% less and move it fast. Cool. It's not taking you're not taking a hit, man. You're taking less profit.
Yeah, I think that's
check the trends.
Yeah, no, but I think that's a really important point because if you're somebody who gets a reward that you don't want and you go to sell it on the market, by the time you don't sell it, like the price just keeps going down. I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, obviously, but like if it's a reward that you don't want, that doesn't mean that there are other people who necessarily want it. And like in those situations, the bots and traders kind of make sense because a lot of them are willing to take basically anything. I mean, realistically, there are very few cards that they'll take. They won't value them all like you would, but they'll take them.
And also, you might be able to find cards that you do want in their galleries. You can take your reward and get the card you actually wanted, even if you're not getting full value of it. You still get the cards you actually wanted for free. Like,
or at least something closer than what you want.
You're not giving full value, but you're getting what you want in the end.
Yeah, I had an instance where I went to, basically I was not negotiating with the bot, but effectively trying to see what they would offer. And one of them had a card that I was like, oh, I would be interested in that card. And I was talking to somebody about it and they were like, if you sold the reward, would you use it to buy that card? And I was like, no, of course not. No, I don't want the card. But it's there and it's better than what I would have been okay with that reward. But then of course I'm taking like a 20% haircut to get that card to then not really want it. Slippery slope. But like you said, with rewards, it's a little easier because you're just like, this was free basically.
Exactly.
Whether it's actually free or not. That's
yeah.
Excuse me. So the use of, well, actually, I'll say it because you say you have like a working relationship with Roadie Boss, and you're not the only one I know that has like used him a lot. And like I showed you this absurd diagram that I made for putting one of my collections together, where 90% of it is because of Pavel. But we kind of brought up that like if you're trying to build a collection, Pavel is actually really good for it. I don't think the others are because it's just volume. But he's pretty good for building collections, and particularly like rewards. If you win like a decent reward, but you're like, I don't really want it. Sometimes like I turned one reward into like 8 cards for a collection. And do I want those cards? No, but they help in my collection. So now I want them. So yeah, do you want to speak to that at least a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, like, so we've kind of come to a disagreement. I think Pal does not care about the one-ofs or the jersey mints. Like, if you can pull up my collection of the Sanfrecce super rares, I have multiple jersey mints or one-ofs that I got for, like, one of them I got for like 0.04, one I got for 0.025, two one-ofs from him. Basically, how he does it, like, he just looks at like the low market and then take like 10%. But if none's posted, like this, the Aoyama, that was a jersey man I got him for like $47. The Shibasaki, similar price, and like those right there, that's 80 collection point bonus, and it's gotten my pair. I already had the Araki one of, but like so, those 2 cards boosted the show and the Araki another 1% for basically 0.06, which went in. Then like when I couple that, because that's my gas 3 lineup, or my Sanfrecce Rare.
Yep.
Like it basically, so those ones are at 3% plus another 2% for that, and that's a differential for me. Like it's a boost for cheap.
Yeah, I don't want to disagree with you because I have also gotten a Jerseyman. I got a Jan Gregus one of from Pavel to boost my Emmanuel Reynoso, and I feel like it's almost like the auxiliary pieces that you need, the jersey mints and the one ofs, he's willing to just not give away, but there's not like that much of a premium. But it is funny how like it's the cards that you want to boost, and if they're the jersey mints, basically if Pavel's heard of the player, like you're gonna have to pay more. But it does feel like sometimes, and I think this is kind of a standard response to Pavel, that the prices are kind of always just all over the place. But I agree with you that you can kind of like sneak in some jersey mints and one ofs.
Like look at all these turd boxes. Like not the new him I actually use sometimes. He's a decent cap guy because he's low, but he'll hit his decisive. But all these other guys, useless. But they're not useless because they have a one of or a jersey mint.
Right.
And that's gotten me up to 3%.
Yeah, the 27 cards in this collection is actually pretty small. Like I feel like a lot of the Asian teams go up to like 40%, and there are more opportunities to get these random jersey mint guys. But
and that'll jump to 4% after the 90 days on a lot of these hits. So a lot of cheap cards. Like, and I'll try to pick them up for like less than 0.01. So it's like, yeah, it may add up to a good amount in the end, but like at the time, you're like, it's death by small 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it's a really impressive collection of guys that
nobody.
Again, like but you would like never have thought of getting these guys anyway. And the fact you've been able to add to them basically for minimal cost through these traders who got these cards because nobody else wanted them back when the jersey mints and stuff didn't matter. So I do find that to be at least a helpful tool for sure. All right. I think that is pretty much all I wanted to go through. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up that about the trades that we either haven't talked about before I call you out on your best and worst trades with these guys?
No, that's it. Because when we call me out, it's gonna kind of tie into another point that we talked about on the side. So
yeah, fair enough.
This will be called out towards Sean.
So, are there any transactions that you wanted to point out that were either a win or a loss when it comes to these guys?
So there's a couple of them. So this one, it looks like a loss per se, but it's kind of in the end. And in the end, it's not. My recent one is I won a Philip Cone, and it was a couple game weeks back. But a really hot lineup. Actually got screwed me with giving Araki an own goal off of total BS. Like it basically took me from 5th to 9th in Gas 3. And the whole time I was looking at the player pool, I'm like, I want Tadic. Pre-Tadic move. I want Tadic. I fall to 9th, I get Cone. Where I would have gotten Tadic. So I'm like, I'm posting Cone like 0.4, 0.45. The last hole was like 0.4, 0.42. Me and Haber actually looked like we got into a little floor battle. And eventually somebody comes up to me, or somebody reaches out to me and offers me David, because like all my avatars, United stuff, comes up with an offer for David Hay, which I was already knew he was kind of on the way out, but still kind of a homer. And I settled for Shaw. He offered Casemiro, but I settled for Shaw. Took the deal. Sure enough, like 2 days later, Haber sells his for like 0.4, 0.46. I'm like, cool. Whatever. So this one, it's kind of a long-winded thing. So I flipped Shaw for Angelino. And then I flipped De Gea for Carl Toko Combi because he picked up some Saudi rumors. And this is after Tadic signed with Fenerbahce. So I'm like, all right, he's not going to Fenerbahce. And also Bernardeschi. Yep, here we go. And so I sent it to Basil. So,
So
in
you,
the end, it looks good. So basically, I started because this I'd already talked to Gator Guy and Sean, and I got on the Gala train. So turned Shaw into Angelino, turned De Gea, Toko Combi, and Berndeski into ETH, and then eventually I turned that ETH plus I was trying to get out of Champ America Super Rare because Willis and Levitz were just taking
yeah,
me to the cleaner, and
yeah,
they went downhill so fast. I had to get rid of my Nuovo Super Rare, which I love. That card is great. Um, but so I turned those cards into Tadge. So basically, I turned Cone into Tadge in the long run. So what I
that's
eventually wanted, and I turned it into a Tadge and a yeah. This one doesn't look good. Well, it's actually
Angelina.
it's coming better. Yeah, so it started building my Challenger turkey stack, even though Tadge isn't part of Gala. So that was kind of a long-winded one where I got the pieces I wanted through the end. Still kind of a little bit less, but we'll see like once the Gala and Tadge pays off. Um, I
Wow.
still think my what?
It's just, I loved all of the steps of that, because when you started talking about it, I was like, this doesn't seem like this works in this conversation. And all of a sudden I was like, well, then I turned that into that. Cause like you can see, um, yeah, you went to Basel for the ETH, and then this Banditos trade, who is a trader for the
Mhm.
Tadic. Yeah, I love it.
And then so I mean now I have a Gala stack with Muslera, Angelino, the other main center back, stud mid. I can't think of the name right now, and
Bardaki
Tadge. So yeah, Bardaki and
and Tadic now, I guess.
yeah, and the one stud mid. Um, yeah, either way. Um, I still think one of my best trades though was I traded Tapsoba and Teddy Tuma plus 0.075 for Franco Armani. That was right when Teddy Tuma got hurt, and we weren't sure. Like Sean was like ready to cry because he thought he was done for the year, and
Yep.
Gator was like ready to call the Ghana funeral marchers. And I was trying to get rid of get out of U23 anyway. And Armani just he was a piece that I wanted. He's
Mm-hmm.
one of the best scoring goalkeepers, and it's helped. Like he's one of my go-to keepers now,
For sure.
barring 93rd minute lost clean sheets. Yeah.
Is leading me to get triggered on it. But I mean, this one, I feel like, I don't know. I think everybody wins here. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Tuma's upside is significantly capped in France than it was in Belgium. So I don't think anybody was like buying when you got rid of Tuma. Nobody was getting him because they're like, he's going to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Tapsoba had plenty of rumors himself. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I think that makes total sense.
And this is one where at the time it might have looked bad, but they had 0.788 versus 0.669 that day.
Right.
But now look at me, it's 0.08 higher on my end, and
Mm-hmm.
Armani's the main piece of my gallery. So
Right.
it came true eventually.
Yeah. You got plenty of rewards from this card too. Holy moly.
Yeah,
You just keep going.
it's been it's been a big card for me.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I think one of the things we were talking about kind of before we came on, that trades that look bad at some point, there are some that you look in 3 months and you're just like, oh, that was fine. And like, it's just kind of the way Sorare goes. Like at the time you do the trade, even if you don't think you're like totally winning it, the idea is like you're getting rid of cards you think will not be as good for a card that you think will be better. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and you realize that has to take time, but the time that you have to wait is excruciating. And you're just like, man, I really lost this trade. And then something happens. The player you get comes good like you thought they would. And now you're like, oh, yeah, that trade was perfectly fine. I'll take that.
We can call it my worst one because we gotta bring the good with the bad. So I'm gonna pull that up again. Go to September 27th last year with Katose.
September.
This one hurts.
Is it just that it hurt because? Well, let me pull it up in here. September. You even know the date? Did you have to look this up, or is this date like forever?
Oh, I looked it up.
Oh, I was like,
I was trying to come
like
prepared.
a black day in Sorare. All right, September 21st.
7th.
Oh, September 7th.
27th.
27th. I knew we'd get there eventually. Oh, for the Teddy Tuma.
Come full circle.
Oh,
It's back as a one card.
I mean, pre-Houston Hector Herrera is that one hurt. That one stings a little bit, I'm sure.
So actually, this was Hector Herrera when he went through when he was after he was caught drinking. When he was with Houston, he was hurt, and he was like had some concert drinking tequila and shit, and like he was just his scores at the end of the year were just like, ugh.
Yeah.
And like Alamon was going to be leaving. He was rumored to go to like Uruguay or something.
Mm-hmm.
Pizzella was god awful. Cerruti was meh, and I wanted a Teddy.
So let's see. September 2023 is like game week 306. Let's call it. So that's like, I mean, yeah, his run of DNPs actually right after that, with no hope that it would turn.
Yeah. So I mean, looking back, it looks like God, what an idiot, but I got our money out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The super rares also are a little tough. Like the valuation that day of 1.2 ETH, like nobody was probably buying Herrera for 1 ETH back then. Anyway, so
yeah, and I had him like posted for like 0.6 or 7. And I was getting no offers.
Yeah.
And I got him for 0.3. So yeah.
And Teddy gave you a bunch of good cards, good rewards, or good ETH, excuse me.
Yeah. Did he?
No. I don't think I've ever seen a card win this many thresholds and not win a card.
He paid for himself.
Yeah.
Kinda. So it looks good, but it's not the end of the world.
Right.
We move on.
But then, yeah, Teddy ends up ending up for Armani at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. Love it. Love it. All right. Tuggy, thank you so much for coming on. It's been long overdue just being on any SorareData show. So thank you for that. And yeah, good luck with all your future trades.
Thanks for having me on.
Sitting down now with my friend Scosmo, who has become somebody I talk to pretty much every day to discuss all of the antics that we do on Sorare, including trading with bots and traders and whatnot. Scosmo, thanks so much for joining me in this endeavor here.
Thanks for having me over, Laird. This is my first time on SorareData. I feel like an interview process almost. It's like my audition. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
When I had this idea to kind of like talk to different people about using traders and bots, like you were easily one of the first people I wanted to talk to about it, mostly because I think we have a pretty similar experience with using the bots, and we kind of talk about just how to do it because there are certain ones that, you know, how they value different cards, or talking to traders and whether they negotiate and whatnot. So what is it that got you at least starting to use the traders? And we'll get to the bots in a little bit, but on the trading side, what was it about them that
making bad decisions? I reckon making bad decisions first off. Me making terrible decisions, owning terrible cards and not being able to sell them, realizing there are other less bad cards that I want to hold, so I'd go and swap them. Go find someone that's got something I can get, and if they didn't have anything, I'd take a bigger hit and try and get the cash. I think is it Roof Swap, Roof Bot, whatever you want to call him. He's Portuguese. He's been quite innovative about it. I really like the way he kind of does it. I think the traditional method of going to Pavel and trading a bunch of cards at 120, 130, 160%, wherever we're at now, doesn't work anymore. I think he's probably swamped with so many inquests every single day. He just can't get to them. I think I tried to send him an offer yesterday, actually, for Baragi's rare. And it was there open for about 16 hours. Didn't come back. Didn't reject it. Didn't counter. Nothing. Just sat there. Had some ETH in it as well. So he could have easily come back and said, no, add more ETH. God knows. So I just cancelled it. I was like, I don't go to him anymore, which is really sad because when I first joined Sorare, he was probably the first person I used.
The interesting thing about Pavel, and I think there's a general belief that it's not just one person anymore.
No,
it just
no way
the volume.
It can't. It's 24 hours as well, right? He's 24 hours a day, and he's got like how many 100,000 cards? I don't know how many cards he's got, but yeah,
I think he's now over 100,000 limited cards.
Wow.
Which
no way.
Yeah, let me see here because I remember. Yeah, he passed 101,221, 40,000 rares, 2,900 super rares, and 445.
4,000 custom series cards. What on earth is he doing with them?
Just going to be rich one day. That's just what we're all doing. But that is kind of interesting that it let it sit there, because I will say that is obviously the biggest advantage with the bots, in that you get a fairly quick reply, whether it's a counter or a rejection. And I don't know if a lot of people think about this, but I have no problem spamming a bot, not literally spamming, but just like sending offers over and over and over again. And when it's a human, like I know Pavel, I believe Pavel is at least one human, just like the constant offers, I feel like just gets annoying, because I would get annoyed at that. But the 100%. Bot, being able to send it to a bot makes me feel better that I can just keep doing it over and over again.
Yeah, well, you're not speaking to anyone about the terrible offer you're sending. You're not insulting anyone, right? It's just a machine. Right. The thing is, and the best thing about Rove is you can lowball the hell out of it. You can send it literally at 0.0001 value so that you can get what it actually values the cards at. So you never go over. And it gives you that price indication first. Whereas with Pavel, you just go in blind, like, oh, I want this card. What on earth is he going to want for it? You send him something and you think, okay, I'm paying like 30% over. And he counters with another 20%. It's like, there's no logic in that. You're just taking money off me for nothing. So Rove is fantastic.
There was somebody recently, I think they posted on Twitter, that they had been DMing Pavel on Discord, that maybe Pavel had rejected an offer that they changed their mind and said, oh, contact him, so I actually will take that.
Yeah.
And I think Pavel asked them to resubmit the offer. And maybe they countered and rejected. And they went to Pavel and was like, the one that you countered to me, I'll take that. And he said to resubmit it, but it might take a while because he had 700 outstanding offers.
Wow. Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense.
And so, but it makes a lot of sense, but also, well, that's what made me think like this can't be one person, because
no, it's no way.
It can't be. But the way that I think a lot of people, like, nobody goes into a Pavel deal thinking they're definitely winning it. They're just like, because
I think you start off thinking you're going to win every time, even though you get bummed every single time, you lose every single time. The next time you start a new one, I'm going to win this one. This is going to be great. I'm going to take so much. I'm going to make all my money back of every bad trade with Pavel in one big go. And then 4 counter offers later, and you're down another 30%.
There does seem to be a bit of I don't want to call it desperation, but there's a feeling of needing to get it done.
Yeah.
That makes, and Pavel uses that to his advantage, because you're like, obviously you want the card, like you're there to get a card.
Yeah. Well, I think he's made so much money, right? He came in so early. He's got such a big gallery where he doesn't have to compromise at all. He holds every card he holds every playing card in every trade. You go to him. He never comes to you. You're going to him. So he's always the A side of the deal, right? So it's hard to get one over on him unless he prices something wrong, or you're getting something before a price is going to change. There's no other way to win, unless you're changing scarcities, and he can't quite price the scarcities properly, which Pavel doesn't do, because he prices everything 10 times at unique and super rare levels. You can't actually get them.
I don't want to see.
This is a slanting Pavel conversation, by the way. Please don't block me, Pavel. Please, I do still want your cards.
Yeah, please don't. Yeah, Pavel did block me once.
Really?
Yeah, there was a time where I think it was like fairly recently after they announced the ability to block, and
You just
they
went and
didn't
searched.
tell anyone that you could unblock people.
Right.
And so like he blocked me after a bad, clearly I was trying to lowball, and then it's like, now I couldn't buy any cards from Pavel. Because I think once you're blocked, you can't even buy. I don't know if you can not even buy, let alone, you certainly can't send an offer.
I think you can. I think you can market buy.
Oh, you can?
I think you can.
Good luck market buying Pavel. So have you ever sold like a bundle of cards to a trader?
I have tried. So I used to go down the route of the 80% gallery buyers whenever I wanted to do that before we had the bots. So I think it was that period where it was Pavel, then it was kind of Roddy Boss, Katos, also those sorts of guys that would come in and pay you a pittance, like 60, 70, 80% for your cards, which fair enough, they've got to make their money on them. But I am someone that goes into a deal thinking I'm going to win every time, despite losing most times. But so I'll message them first and go, hey, I want to sell these cards. What are you going to offer me for them? Thinking that I'm entitled to 100%, even though I know I'm not. And then when they say, I'll give you 80%, I'm like, nah, it's not enough. And they're like, well, but then there's no deal. So I never actually got anywhere with them. I probably got desperate 1 or 2 times and sold a few cards to Roddy Boss, I think. But other than that, no, I tended to just try and enlist them myself.
So you mentioned earlier that you like that how Roove is like so transparent on like what the rules are.
Fantastic.
And I think it's super helpful just because it allows you to know what the rules are going in, where when you're dealing now, not to say that every human trader like should have like the strictest rules and that they should always be public, but it does make it just an easier experience to know that you know how far away you are. And I will say that like Basil and Sirhis, when they'll counter offer, so it's like it is easier to get an idea of like where they value cards. What's your kind of process, at least with Roove, in terms of like if you want to sell a card to him or get a card or trade or something?
So I will use Basil, as we spoke earlier. Kind of, I speak to Basil as a human as well as a bot, so I find it quite conflicting trying to dump my cards in him for cash, knowing that I'm doing him over one. So I tend not to use him as much, even though that's the point of the bots. But when I want to sell a card, I tend to just offer it out to all of them at the same time. Now that we have that multi-trade ability, I know probably 6 months ago, maybe 9 months ago, we can only send in one offer at a time. Whereas now you can kind of send it to as many people as you want and then see what game changer I get back. So I do tend to get the best cash offers from Roove because I know what I'm going to get. So I can follow his rules and I know what L15 my card's got. I know what percentage is going to allocate to that. And I know whether it's eligible or not. So I don't waste my time sending it to Roove going, oh, I don't know whether he's going to cancel it, whether he's going to offer me, whether he's going to lowball me, whether it's a risky card, whatever it is, I know what I'm going to get. So I'll send it to him first, get that benchmark offer, and then I'll send it to Basil as well. If Basil comes up with more, then fantastic, I'll sell it to Basil. But more often than not, the Roove does end up giving me more cash. So I tend to go with him.
Have you ever tried to do that with Pavel?
I tell a lie. Yes, I did. I sold him Berardi. When the Saudi links come out to Berardi, I sent it to Pavel as well, and he offered me 0.3, which is higher than everyone else in cash, not even in trade. So I just took it straight away. Didn't even think about it.
See,
so
he's great.
Maybe I did win. Maybe I have beaten Pavel once.
We found one. So when you deal with, well, it sounds like you do much more with the bots than you do with the traders. Is that correct?
Yeah, 100% now I do. I'll tend to wait for cards to hit the galleries. So I'll kind of monitor Roove's gallery, for example, and wait for there to be decent enough cards. I won't wait for specific cards because I don't think you can do that. And I think that's the one negative with Roove is probably quality of what's in his gallery and liquidity liquidity, right? It's not the biggest gallery, and for a trader or for a bot, you'd expect it to have a bit more in there. So it is often slim pickings. And well, I mean, the benefit is on his website, you can see the live ETH amount he's got. So you can see if he's got 0.7, and I know my card's worth 0.4, I'm going to get a cash offer. Whereas there may be times he's only got 0.1 in the account. I'm like, well, there's no point wasting my time. I can't get anything. And if there's no cards in his gallery that I think I could sell on, there's no point doing it. Then I'll leave it. But then I'll hold on to my cards if I think I've got a long enough window to hold on to them and then wait for the chance to come up rather than shifting it to someone else at a worse rate. So I won't panic and go to Hiss or Pavel or Basil. I will sit on them and wait for something half decent to come up. And then I'll still mess it up. Which I did with David Sorare.
We'll get to Sorare. We will definitely get to Sorare. So are you monitoring their galleries every day?
On and off, yeah, roughly, pretty much every other day, maybe.
Right. And how often do you end up getting a card or wanting to get a card from them that you had absolutely no knowledge the card even existed?
Most trades.
Until you,
most trades, and they end up being the most expensive ones I do. So I mean, obviously I know the card exists, but maybe like I think I got a super rare Kubo from SorareData the other day because I was looking to offload one of my super rare goalkeepers, and I didn't know what, and obviously they're higher value, so I didn't know what I could get from a trader anywhere. And I was in his gallery, I was like, this is just crap throughout the gallery, it's just loads of crap, and I don't want 10 rares that I'm going to then struggle to sell on myself. That's the point of having a trader. You can go and offload them to for cash.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking, but he didn't have the money to buy my super rare goalkeeper outright. I had to trade it to get rid of it. And he had a super rare Kubo, which I'd never thought about buying before. And I thought, you know what? I'll throw in some ink myself, and I'll have your Kubo. Which, yeah, it's easy to get
still have the Kubo?
Any more money? Yeah, I have. I'm waiting for the new season. Yeah, I think Sorare got some nice fixtures, so I'm excited. Hopefully, he's going to pay me back. Hopefully, he won't be going back to Rube as well. Stay with me.
What tips do you have, like, for people who are using, whether it's Roove or the bots or the traders, that you think a lot of people either miss out on or just don't understand?
It's going to sound very naive. I would just say trust them. I think one of the biggest problems with Roove, which I think he's solved very intelligently by marketing himself really transparently on Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it now. Like, he's gone and made this whole account about it. He's making so much like engagement with the community. He's doing these. I think he was doing giveaways before, and he was writing up kind of all the rules and terms and conditions and all the logic behind his trades, making it very public. Going and building a website and having that scrape through the offers live and updating it, and then showing you breakdowns of exactly what you've put, what he's put, how he's calculated it, and what's left. And that's fantastic. Because the problem with his account is to engage in a trade, you have to send it blank. So if I want cash from him, I have to send him an offer of 2 cards or more, and for absolutely nothing. And if it was a scam account, you're giving him cards away, right? You just accept it and take my cards. So that's quite a daunting thing for a first-time trade, I think.
For sure.
And that took a bit of a plunge. But when you think about it, if a trader has got, say, a 30th gallery, are they really going to compromise their entire credibility in the entire Sorare community, which is quite tightly knit, over one 0.4 trade? No, he's not. Especially not when he's made it so transparent on Twitter and with a website and everything else. So I kind of trusted it to start with. If you were doing a massive gallery sale of, say, 70 ETH, then no, I mean, that would be stupid.
Yeah.
It just pulled the plug tomorrow, right? But yeah, I think if you're doing trades with, especially with Ruben and Basil's so reputable, is fantastic as well. I've had minimal dealings with Sir Hiss, but from all accounts, it seems like he's fantastic as well. I would say just trust them. They're not there to screw you over. They are there to provide liquidity.
I will say that with I think there's a certain leap of faith that you take even starting Sorare, but to send like a blank
crazy
offer,
to start, right? So what's the difference? What's the difference?
Once you get past the craziness of actually starting, but like sending the blank offer is, it's a bit scary, particularly because I had done it with Basil before, and it's like, if it messes up, I get an Mbappe, because like that's the thing. Like you get an Mbappe rare, and I think like Pablo does it with his Jonathan David unique, which he lost once by trying this. So like I get that there's some risk there. So the Ruve one makes me feel like a little bit odd, but I do think you were talking about his like the transparency, and he's out on Twitter and talking about everything that he or she have like said on Twitter. Like it's really bad business to scam people. And so like, there's no reason for a bot, if the point of the bot is to accumulate cards and hopefully sell them for more than they get them for, then doing something that makes people stop using it is the opposite of being able to grow it. So like, I at least appreciate the openness that we get from Ruve.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, if a bot was to screw some members of the community over, I think a lot of people would actually stop buying from them. They would be blacklisted. I know it's easy to say, actually, do you put morals in front of your financial incentive of going and making the money by buying them cheap, right? Like Bellona, for example, the bot that undercuts everyone. I know there's a bit of stigma, and people tend not to actually buy his cards off him, or they don't. If they've got a choice of buying it from him or buying it from somewhere else for 5% more, 10% more, they'll buy it from somewhere else. They'd rather not buy from him because they don't want to promote him and encourage him to keep doing and have a business running it.
Mhm.
So if you pull the plug as a trader now or a bot now, you're going to run into a lot of problems down the road.
Yeah. I hate to like walk you through this, but you mentioned it before of your David Sorare trade. If we could go through it just so to kind of give people an idea of like what can happen, I guess.
Okay. My other tip would be don't panic, which is something I do very often. When I hear transfer rumors, I tend to shit myself and just get them out the door as fast as possible, whatever price I can get, which is not the best idea. Although sometimes it can be a great idea, right? Sometimes it can pay off. I mean, you've seen Jota go to Saudi, we've seen Benzema go to Saudi, we've seen so many massive players go, and the prices just tank. So as soon as you hear a rumor, maybe you want to get out, maybe you don't, that's fine. But I bought David Sorare super rare back in, I think, February, just after the January transfer window. I think Rulli had just left Villarreal to go to Ajax, and David Sorare was at Getafe, and there was massive links that in the summer he'd be going to Villarreal to fill that position, right? Which is a fantastic spot. You're in Europe, top end team in La Liga, a low goal scoring league. Yes, it's a perfect super rare goalkeeper, cheap, brilliant. Brought him in, had him for half a season. This summer, Andre Lunin decided he doesn't want to play for Real Madrid anymore, so they've gone and linked David Sorare straight to Real Madrid's bench. And I thought, yeah, shit, I got to get out of this. This is not good for me. I think he was my only super rare goalkeeper at the time as well. So if I lost that, it's a big piece to replace the hardest cards to get hold of, I think, bar uniques. So I was like, okay, let's have a look at Rove, see what he's got. I'm actually going to see I'm going to try and pull it up and see what I actually swapped for him. But yeah, so I went to Rove's gallery. I saw what cash or what cards he had. I didn't have any cards available. We had some cash. I actually think I got cash for it, but I got a terrible value. I think I got about 0.65 ETH for him, but his rare was trading about 0.2. And the day before I'd sold him, so it was over the weekend, and before the weekend started, there was links to Real Madrid, but they were kind of soft. And it was that he was on one of 3-man shortlists to go to Real Madrid. I thought, I'll hold on to him over the weekend, see what happens. I went away for the weekend, I came back, I logged into Twitter, and I checked the rumors. And I saw he was like, yep, they were meeting the agents. It was a dinner scheduled on Monday night, and they were going to go for it. And it was pretty much nailed on. I was like, oh shit, I'll get rid of him. So I just panicked and I sold him straight to Rove, whatever he had. Later that evening, they came out of the meeting and published that they were in no interest of sitting on the bench and they wouldn't be leaving at all unless he went to be a starter somewhere. And his price just tanked and then came straight back up. And yeah, I got absolutely screwed over on it. It wasn't smart.
I mean, not to say that it was like the wrong move.
No, it was the right move at the time, but the wrong attitude, I suppose, to have towards the panicking of the transfer rumor. Like it hadn't nothing had actually changed. But between me first hearing about it and when I actually executed on it, nothing had changed. I should have waited till after that meeting. But I panicked and thought, oh, well, after the meeting comes out, he's going to have signed, which is not true. It's going to still take a week for him to sign. But in my head, I'm like, I'm getting carried away and I'm rushing through the deal. And I'm like, right, I've got to get this done. Also, you made a point earlier about that. I've just got to get it done. With Rove and the liquidity of it, it's like, oh, he's got 0.7, 0.65 ETH, whatever it was. If I don't take the deal now, someone else will take that money and I won't be able to sell him to Rove now. So, and then the deal will go through and then he'll be worth nothing and I'll just be sat on him.
It's funny you bring that part up because that is something about the bots and trade. I don't know why I keep differentiating between the bots and the traders.
There is a slight difference, but they will do both, right?
Right, but the point I'm making, I think, applies to both. That there is an overarching sense of rush when they have something that you want, whether it's the ETH balance or a specific card, and it just leads most people to make bad decisions. Or maybe not detrimental decisions, but it's like you're overpaying because particularly if you're looking at the higher end scarcities, like super rares, it's not just, you can't just go out and get like any super rare you want. Like sometimes people aren't selling them or they're just exorbitant prices.
There's not enough supply, right? There's just not there.
Right. And so there is this like rush, this like self-inflicted pressure to get it done as fast as possible so that you get it. It's interesting you say that about the ETH balance though, although I think that was more about the value of the card decreasing, but like it's not like when Rove gets an ETH balance, you're like, oh, I got to go clear that out.
I do tend to do that. It does tend to be when his balance goes above a certain level, I do fly in and see what I can get. Although I think I've exhausted my gallery's crap now. I don't think I have any more super rares I can offload. So I'm kind of like, I'm checking less, not because it's not a good thing to do, but more so I don't have anything to give them. I think I'm all out of rubbish. I think they've taken it from me.
It's really funny that you say that, because I had felt that recently, that I had been doing a lot of trades and I'm like, man, I'm getting like a lot done. And then I was basically trading out of cards I didn't want into cards I didn't really want, but were better than the ones I had.
Mm-hmm.
But then you do that enough, and then hopefully you get to something you want, but yeah, then you have nothing left. And so you're like, oh, they finally have a card I actually want, and all of your crap is gone.
And then you bundle up all the stuff that you thought you liked, but you didn't actually want for the one you do want, and then you're 60% down, and then you've lost half your gallery in like 3 weeks trading for nothing.
So the last thing I just wanted to bring up was something that we were talking about before the video started, that traders can decide not to deal with you. Like I mentioned, like Pavel had blocked me before. But there does feel like that should almost never happen, in the sense of, fundamentally, they're there to take our crap.
Yep.
And I realize that some of them, like, they don't have to. Just because you call yourself a trader doesn't mean you have to take all of the garbage. Because it does feel like there are some traders that really only deal with either elite level cards or highly liquid ones. And like, I would describe Quickwick as like a great trader.
Yeah.
But it's never about, give me your 12 garbage cards for one good one. Like they just move in and out of cards really well.
Yeah.
And is there like an expectation when you see somebody with their trade 120% that they should just accept everything?
I do, but I think it's their prerogative not to. That's fine. But just don't be offended by it, right? If I come to you and I try to trade you something, don't be offended by it. Like you said, don't block. Like there's no reason for anyone that says they're a trader to ever block anyone. You're literally inviting people to send you their crap. If you're claiming yourself as a trader, you have cards that people want, and you're offering a premium to take things that people don't want. That's the whole premise of it. It's not and we had this discussion recently, I think probably about a couple months ago. We actually set up that mini Discord for the one-to-one swaps, right? So when I first joined Sorare and it was a smaller community, you could reach out to anyone and propose, oh, I've got this card that you might like. You've got something I like that are similar value. Do you want to swap them? And they go, yeah, okay, that sounds good. I'll do that. Now it's, oh, I've got something I want. Yeah, well, then pay me 20% premium. So that's not how it should work. If you want to swap, you swap. If you're trading, then you take crap. That's how I personally think it should work.
I'm in on all of that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to trade like one-to-one value with me, let me know. Happy to do that if it benefits both of us. But like that's why I would never say I'm a trader. You don't trade 120%. I don't want people's crap. I want good cards.
Yeah. Like card trading is one of my favorite things on the platform. And I agree with you. Like early on, it felt like both sides were, this is what I want and you have it. This is what I have and you want it. Let's just trade it. And it was very simple. And yeah, it does feel like any trade now cannot possibly be equal.
Yeah. No, both sides do not win anymore. Someone has to win in every trade. Someone has to win, which it shouldn't be like. I guess it will be. I mean, the finances involved in this game. Like, I get it. You're going to do that, but I think that the community's become. But I think I said this before as well to you and in our Discord that the traders of old have created this environment where it's now everyone thinks they can be a trader at 20%, which is that's not true. And that's the whole point. Like, if you want to do 120%, then you take the crap. That's it. You don't trade one-to-one with good cards for good cards at 120%. That's not how it's supposed to be.
Well, right, because the extra 20% is supposed to be the amount that they're going to have to work to sell these garbage cards.
I guess maybe you could say there's a difference between trade and swap. Are you a swapper or a trader, right? Like if you want to be a swapper, you can swap at a one-to-one. But if you're trading, then you're trading for 20% premium or whatever. I don't know why. I also don't know why 20% was the number everyone decided on together. Everyone just sort of settled on that number at once together, and it just became standard.
I think it was Pavel.
Was it?
Yeah, and then
that
wasn't enough, and then it was 136, and then 129.
Yeah,
I don't know where he is today, but also it never was actually that number.
No, and I think that's kind of the point. That's kind of the question you were asking. That's one of my most annoying things about it is if you do say a number, stick to it. Otherwise, why have you said it? Like if you've said 120% trades and you take 20%, Don't come and say I want 45. Then why did you put it in your name? Like that's my biggest bugbear with Pavel is now. Like I'll trade him something for what is 120% or whatever his number is. And they're like, no, I want 155. I'm like, I'm not going to pay that.
Yeah.
So I'll just undercut the market by 30% and get my cash. Why would I trade 150%, right? Like, but again, that's another thing I would say as well. It depends on how good the card is. I don't tend to do that because I worry, especially in the kind of market we're in or have been in, where it's been trending downwards for so long. If you undercut the market, you almost just set a new floor. You don't cut it under, and you don't get a buyer quick enough to take it off the market. If it lingers too long, someone else who wants to sell their card will see it and go, "Oh, I'll match that." And all of a sudden, all you've done is push the floor of your own card down and devalue it by 20%. And then you want to go to a trader with a new low floor, and then you take another 20% off of that. And yes, sometimes it is better to just cut your losses and take whatever you're being offered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I like that. In fact, we'll end on that. Really appreciate that time. I think I don't know anybody who uses the bots as much as you do, and not even just like using them in terms of trading, but like you really like dive in to see like how they work and everything. So I appreciate the insight here, and yeah, thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me, Laird.
Joining me now, Itshaber, star of the Itshaber Sorare channel. Haber, thanks for coming on and talking about traders with me.
I'm the only person on the Itshaber Sorare channel, so it's kind of like it's hard for me not to be the star. I feel like the star, the hard worker, the errand boy, the runner. I'm everything. It's all me.
I mean, there's plenty of pride that goes into that, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe. Anyway, we're here to talk about traders. I spoke already, and now that I've said that, because this is pre-recorded, I'm going to have to put you last in the order now that I'm saying it out loud. Well, we'll see. Anyway, I already talked to Tugford. I talked to Scosmo, kind of how they started using traders, whether they still use them the same way. I feel like actually, we were just talking before, because later we were trying to do the good and bad trades you've done with traders, and you're like, I win every trade that I do with a trader.
No, I don't win. I don't do really horrible ones, just because like I get more angry if I lose a trade to a trader, if that makes sense. Like it pisses me off more. Not for any other reason that it's like I don't really I don't know. So it's strange. It's just like I don't know.
But the way that you put it, you said like you're more careful.
Yeah, exactly. I am more careful. It feels like I actually don't have any problem with traders, but sometimes when you send an offer and you get like a counter offer back, it feels like a vulture on a dead body, and literally and I'm just like, are you kidding me, man? Like it's already 146%. Like you want that extra like 9% of this trade? Like, why? You know.
One of the points that I think it was Scosmo said it, that the humongous advantage that they have over us is that in 100% of the transactions, we're going to them looking.
That's true. That's true.
And I was about to say they hold all the cards, which would be a terrible pun and also just incorrect. But it is like fundamentally, that's what they do. They take advantage of the fact that we are coming to them and we're like, I really want your thing. What do you want for it?
Yeah.
And it's always just more than we want to give.
And the sad thing as well is that they don't play SO5, so they know we're on a ticking clock, and we need to get this done by this time, and they don't care.
Yeah,
they have no care in the world. So, and you're right, like we are going to them most of the time. Although I will say, with Pavel, I feel like Pavel recently hasn't been bad at all.
I think he has been reasonable.
Yeah, which is a step in the right direction for Pavel.
Absolutely.
That's like Pavel being reasonable is like that rich uncle on Christmas, like spoiling you. I feel like I only paid 11% extra on one of my trades recently, which is a W.
It certainly makes you feel like it's a W.
Yeah.
Do you think that the increased like public prevalence of other traders, particularly like the bots, has made Pavel realize that just trying to rob people is not ideal?
Potentially. I feel like his own personal public presence might have also helped that. Like, I feel like since he started using Twitter, he's realized that people don't really like him. and the resounding opinion in the Sorare community for a lot of people is that he's just a greedy person, right? So I feel like maybe that also might have had an effect on it. Maybe it's a case of he's maybe realized that trading more makes him more in the long run. Like, if he does 10 trades at 120%, it's more than 5 trades at 135, right? So maybe it's that as well. Who knows? I don't think Pavel's a bad guy, and I think if I was in his position, I'd do the exact same thing. I'd fleece everyone. Like, he is literally like, he's like the GameStop of Sorare. You go in, you trade in your game, you get another game back, but they're going to give you like $3.50 for your game and charge you $35 for the game that's like that you want, right? He's just like that, but I respect it. Like, I'd do the same thing.
I mean, it's a simple, like, who has the leverage in this negotiation, and the trader always have the leverage. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Pavel at this point is like a Sorare shop. He really is. He's like a store.
Sure.
He's got that much in his gallery. It's like going to Walmart.
Well, I was saying this to, it might have actually said to both of the other guys, but the visibility of at least Pavel's gallery or others, like, I think more people check his gallery than check the secondary market, which meaning like the entire secondary market, which really runs counter to what is optimal in terms of getting the cards you want. Like, you know what cards you want.
Yeah.
And so if you go on the secondary market, you can see if they're available. But we go to Pavel or Rody Boss or Basil or Ruve, and we're just like, what do they have? And then you see something and you're like, I didn't think I needed that, but now I need it right now.
Yeah.
And
that is literally it.
Yeah.
I love that.
This show, it came from like a conversation that you and I had, where when Spicer sold his gallery to Pavel, and we all just like flocked. And I ended up with 2 cards that day that I never once tried to get from Spicer. Didn't really think I was going to get from anyone else. And I saw it there and I'm like, I need that card. And
literally,
here we are. How often do you check trader galleries?
I check Pavel probably once every few days. That phrase is spot on though. Like, the amount of trades I've done where I did not know I needed a card, but I need it now. That thing should be my thing right now, and the fact that stuff over there is not mine is infuriating. Yeah, literally. That most of my deals with Pavel end up like that. I actually look for something that I don't need. Sometimes out of boredom. Sometimes for me, it's like I check Pavel's gallery more if I know I have a bunch of illiquid cards that I don't really want. So, like, if I've got liquid cards, I just sell it. And I recommend to a lot of people, if you've got Challenger or Champion Europe cards at Smash, go and check. If they sell relatively often, like a few times a week, sell them. Don't trade them to a trader. Go and sell them and then use the ETH, because ETH is the best bargaining chip you'll ever get. But if I've got some shitter that doesn't sell like at all, and he's got a bunch of expired listings on his floor price, I'll just go to Pavel and hope that he, values it half decent and see if he's got anything good in his gallery. And that's the same with, like, I don't check. I'll be honest with you, never checked Rody Boss's gallery in my life. Didn't even think about trading cards with them before. I've sold once to him and had an awful experience, so never done that again. I'm trying to think of other traders. Basil, I would never check his gallery. I only either try and buy or try and sell from him if I see a card that I'm looking at in the latest like transactions page, like, the auctions and offers.
Sure.
And I see like, so here saw Basil has bought that card. I'm like, yes, all right, 5 minutes and it's mine. Or I sell a card. Selling a card to bots. The only time I sell a card is when I want ETH quick. Like, I bought a Super Red Demerbe 2 days ago, and I was like £60 away, and I just won a reward that week. So I literally just put that reward in and got the money back straight away and went and bought the Demerbe. So like, yeah, like that's the only real time I sell those cards. But apart from that, Pavel's the only gallery I check.
That's smart thinking on selling the reward to the bot quickly. Like, if I have like I don't know how to say this not arrogantly, but if I have like a week where I'll win like 3 tier 5s or 3 tier 4s, it's like, all right, let's see if I can make these 3 into like 1 tier 3 or 1 tier 2. And I go right to the bots or the or Pavel or whoever, and just be like, all right, I know you guys are willing to take anything.
Yeah.
I know you're not going to value everything perfectly, but like, I know you'll take it. And so here are 5 guys I've never heard of that I'm never going to use. Please give me one of someone I may have heard of. I will say that the Pavel gallery searching is not even searching. It's like reviewing does enhance your scouting knowledge, because you like find someone there and you're like, oh, who is that? And then you just go into it and you're like, oh, they actually smash in Turkey or Croatia or wherever. And you're like, oh, yeah, I could use one of those. And you just go get it.
That's not me. That doesn't happen to me. Do you know what I do? I go on there, I filter for rare and super rare, and I click highest average score on the top right, and I just look at the best ones. And I usually know them as well. So, although no, yeah, that's pretty much all I've ever done. I've never actually tried to get a card off him otherwise. Like, yeah.
Do you use SorareData watch lists?
No.
Because I only ask because you can go to their galleries and use the watch list to see if they have cards from the watch list.
I didn't know that. I don't. I really should, to be honest. There's one bit of my mustache is a bit darker here, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's annoying me. Oh, did I fix it? No, I didn't. Well, you know what? Whatever. It's fine.
You have a pen somewhere? Okay. You can just do the rest of it?
Yeah, it's all right. You know, we're just going to like wear some sunglasses on my mouth today, and yeah, we'll be all right. Yeah. So I didn't know that was a thing with the watch list. I will try that, lad.
There we go. Pushing products I didn't even know I needed to push today. So that's a win for me.
I have a bone to pick with you because I applied to be a SorareData affiliate weeks ago when I messaged you like for the link. Oh. Haven't heard anything back. Do they know who I am? Excuse me. I am a big deal. I'm not.
You're the star of the Itshaber Sorare channel.
I'm not really. But I would like, you know, I want to promote SorareData, but I want to know I'm getting something back in return.
I'll follow up.
Thank you.
No problem. Do you find yourself using traders more or less than before?
That is so like contextual. It just depends. If Pavel has like if Pavel has something good in his gallery, yes, I will use it quite a lot. If I look at my own gallery and I have a quick look at when was the last time I did a deal with any trader? It would have been Pavel, and it was for a super rare Fred. That was the 13th of July, so like 3 weeks ago now, roughly. Yeah. And that was a card he got from Spicer as well, which is quite funny. That was the last time. If he has like, I've tried to. I used to do a lot of deals with Pavel back in the day, and what I quickly realized was after like I want to say I did like 10 deals in a 2-week period, and it was through boredom and the want for just a bit of change to refresh things up. And you just see gradually your gallery valuation go down and down and down and down. It said 20% hit every time, and you just see it and gradually you realize, oh, I've lost like $3,000 in the space of 10 days. It's because I've given it all up to Pavel in the last 10 days. And you don't realize until after you're like, that's probably pretty stupid. So since then, I really haven't done many trades with him, unless he has something I really, really want, which the Spicer there was great because there was a bunch of cards that I really wanted. But yeah, no, I don't find myself doing many trades with traders. I used to go to like Katozi or Roadie Boss and try and sell bundles to them before the bots came around, like Basilbot and Sir Hiss. And I didn't realize at the time just how much they really fleece you. Again, no disrespect to these guys. I totally get it. And I would do the same in their position. If I had 100 ETH and I could go and buy a bunch of bundles on cards knowing I could flip it for a huge profit, I would. But like seeing offers, not for my cards, but for other cards these days, seeing people sell their galleries for literally 45%, it actually hurts my heart. So I don't go near them anymore because I don't like it. I maybe I'm a bit too emotional about it, but it really annoys me. It actually genuinely makes my blood boil when I see someone that's maybe had a financial issue or something and they've had to sell their entire Sorare gallery and they've sold it for like 4 ETH and they've got a single card in there that they can get 4 ETH for. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That one super rare. I saw one. Some guy sold his gallery for like 1.5 ETH and it was a bunch of rare cards. In the middle of it was a super rare Smell. I'm like, bro, that card isn't a 1.5 ETH card. Like, 4 days, and you could probably get an offer of 1.1 to 1.2 for that card at least. And the rest of these rares were at least an ETH. And it was like, oh man, it's heartbreaking. So I don't go near them anymore. And again, like, I don't, no disrespect to them, you know, I respect it. It's a business model. I totally get it. But the emotional part of me gets really angry when I see that. And it makes me even angrier knowing that I've accepted terrible offers from these guys in the past for cards that I know for a fact definitely. And Sean has berated me in the past for it as well. Sean's really gone at me for it before. And I didn't realize at the time just how right he was about it until I started seeing it for myself. But it is grim.
Yeah, so the selling for so much lower, the only thing I not hesitate on, but the one thing I feel like it's important to remember is that a lot of times, and not always, and sometimes you look all the time, or you look at all of them, but there are times where there's like actually 5 transactions because they have like more than 10 cards, so you need to break it up, and people only see like the one that looks way off. But if you like saw everything together, it's still terrible, but it's not quite as terrible. So just one thing to look out for. But the other one, what was the other? The other one was it takes a while for you to, usually it will take a while for you to think that you've won a trade with any of these guys, because the idea is you are trading something, like ideally you are trading something that you think is overvalued for something that is undervalued. Whereas you actually, so you really think that the values are the opposite, that what you're getting will be worth more than what you are giving up. But obviously when it happens, you look like you're just a total sucker because you're like, look at all this you're giving up. But it just takes time. Now, granted, that doesn't mean you're going to win every trade. There was plenty that 6 months later, you're like, wow, it's actually worse than I thought it was.
Yeah.
But there is like this immediate, oh shit, I gave up way too much. And then you have to like remind yourself that what you gave up was something you were comfortable giving up. Like you thought you have extracted as much value out of it as you can, and you're getting something that you think will be worth more in the future. But obviously trading $1 for 80 cents never actually feels good right away.
No, absolutely not. No, yeah, and like it's one of those as well where I think it comes down to a few different factors in there as well, like how liquid were your cards. Could you have sold them? Like a lot of the time, at least for me, no. Like a lot of cards I end up trading are cards I probably had listed for a while. And I remember messaging you for a show idea like a few weeks ago where it was like, when should you be patient versus when should you not be patient? And it was like, and it was regarding that whole Spicer Gallery being sold to Pavel and Sean having all these opinions on all these cards that people are doing, like these trades and stuff like that. And it's like, and I think we were trying to explain to him on the show after that, we had a strategy show, and we were trying to explain to him, like, there are times where like you don't sit there and be patient. Like not every card that's valued at an ETH sells for an ETH, because you need someone that wants to pay an ETH for that card. And if someone doesn't want to pay an ETH for that card, it isn't an ETH card. You can sit there and value it that all you want. But like, if someone doesn't want to pay that for that card, they're not going to. And not every card is a smasher that's super liquid and everyone wants to buy either. So especially in Super Rare, I feel like as well. So
it works the other way though too. Like if you are sitting there thinking this card is worth half an ETH, and everyone who owns one and wants to sell one is like, it's worth 0.8, you're not getting the card. Like it's just,
that's true. That's
you're not
true.
getting it. And so the super rares are the trickiest because some people just use a multiple, a rare multiple. Some will just say like, this is what I paid for it, I want to get that back. Other people are like, he'll be worth more later, so if you want to pay me the later price, I'll take that. But like fundamentally, nothing's worth anything until two people actually agree on this price. And actually, that's not even true either, because two people can agree on a price, and then two other people are like, nope, I'm not paying that either. And then it's not the price either. If that makes sense.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Where that makes sense right here.
Super rares are a funny old thing, man. I remember a couple of weeks when I was building my Galatasaray stack. Before I bought Angelino, I was trying to buy a Bardachki, and a guy had him listed for like 1.3 ETH, I think it was. And I'd offered him at the time, it was like 0.8 ETH and a rare Cobel, who at the time was like 0.6. Don't know what he's at now, but at the time he was 0.6. And he was selling quite frequently for 0.6 as well. And the guy, like, basically, what he said, like, he had one of those 120% trades in his name, but like, he basically asked me for like an ETH plus Cobel. I was like, I'm not paying 1.6 for that card, essentially. But ultimately, like, he knew he could do that. I didn't pay it, but he knew he could ask for that. He was the only person that had it listed. And sometimes if you're the only person that has a card listed, especially if that's a desirable card, like you literally can be greedy, because ultimately, what is that guy going to do? I'm not buying that card. Let me go message everyone that doesn't have it listed and that has it in a Galatasaray stack. No, that's not going to happen, is it? Like, this guy holds all the cards. Like you say, this guy literally has the power in that scenario. I didn't pay it because I'm not schmuck, but like that in that scenario, like, what can you do? Literally nothing. You wait for an auction. That's the bet, or you wait for somebody to want to sell the card. It's like, and unfortunately, then Bardachki goes and rips 100 this week, and Angelina rips a 48. Had I have just paid that, you know, I would have a nice little reward. But
right,
what can you do? I'm not sad.
I do think that the 20% thing gets looked at not incorrectly, but obviously, if you're trading a bunch of garbage, people are going to want more than, like, it'll take work to sell those cards. And a lot of time, actually, a lot of time it's more just time than work.
Mm-hmm.
Like some cards, like, realistically will never be usable. Like the ones that we give away, tier 5s, that will always be tier 5s, but there are some that like end up coming good. And that time, like, we don't have that time. We need whatever card we want right now so we can play it. Because if we don't play it, we're losing utility. And we want that card right now. But I think the whole, like, just undercut the market by 20% and you'll sell the card. And it's like, that actually takes more time than just giving it to somebody else at 80% value.
That's true. That is true. I think from experience in the last 6 weeks, I've sold a lot of cards and like redid my gallery, remolded my gallery a little bit. And from experience, like, you can sell cards on the market quite easily. People will buy your cards, but I think sometimes people list their cards up with an idea in their head of how much their card's worth, right? And then they get offers and it changes their idea of how much their card's worth sometimes. I'm going to use NEP as a perfect example. I have watched NEP haggle for £3 on a card worth hundreds of pounds before. And I'm sat there like, NEP, you would piss away £3 in an instant. You would not care about £3 leaving your account right now. Why are you haggling? And it's like, sometimes it's like this idea of winning a trade. And I'm guilty of the same thing. But like, the amount of times I see it, I'm like, just accept, like, it's £3. It doesn't matter. Like, that is not a lot of money to you. Like, that is, for some people it is. If it's a limited card worth £5, obviously £3, like, it's all relative, obviously. Sure. But like, if you're selling a card worth £1,000 and someone offers you 997, like, what are you holding out for? What are you actually holding out? So for me, I had to flick a switch in my brain and stop caring about winning a trade and start caring about what I'm doing next. So instead of being like, I am only accepting this because it's higher than last sale and it's the top dot and I have to be there, I'm just like, hey, whatever. Like, if it's a few quid under, it's a few quid under. Like, obviously there's limits to it, and I'm not saying go and accept £100 lower than what the last sale was and stuff like that. But like, you know the value of your card, and you know ultimately the value of your card. You like, if you really sit there and look at it, you know the value of your card, and you know that maybe you're being a little bit entitled by trying to squeeze every last drop out of a trade to win the trade. When in reality, like, if you really want to buy another card, just sell a card.
I think there's the whole, like, there's never going to be a point where you look back at your card and be like, this card would have been a really good buy if I had just gotten it for $3 less.
Yeah, literally. That's what I'm saying. Like, so I sold a bunch of cards in like a week period because, like, what I personally did was I set like a base minimum of how much I'd accept. And then I was like, right, if it's under by like this amount, I don't care. I think it was like I think I'd said, like, because these were actually like quite expensive cards. I was selling like cards worth between like £800 and like £2,000 at the time. Like, it was I was reshaping my gallery quite a lot. I was like, if I get an offer like £50 below, I'm just going to accept it because it's a lot of money. And yeah, losing £50 on 5 trades adds up. But at the same time, like, it's that versus maybe they go and offer that to somebody else who has the card listed and I lose out on that sale. And that's happened to me before as well. So yeah, I think sometimes it's like cards may not seem as liquid as they actually are because people are trying to get that top dot, and that doesn't always happen, you know. And sometimes you've got to have leeway.
And I think even on the buying side, at some point, if you want the card, you just have to pay for it. Like, there's
absolutely. I think with buying, I'm a little bit more patient than selling, and that's the only reason why that is because I know ultimately people think the same. People think like I do, right? If that guy that's selling that card, unless it's like a trader, which is fair, it's hard to be patient with traders, but if it's not a trader and a guy's got a card listed up, right? I know he is going to have an idea, like I always have ideas, that he wants to go and buy another card. So ultimately, like if I really strongly believe it's massively overvalued, again, like if this guy's counted me for like £50 more than I wanted to pay, I'd probably just pay the extra and get it done. But if we're like 0.3 apart in valuation, and he really all of a sudden wants to buy a card in like a week's time or in 3 days' time, I know that he'll come down in his valuation if he doesn't have the ETH. Because it's happened loads of times before. Like it always happens. If someone really wants ETH, then all of a sudden the table switch. You've gone from not having the upper hand to now this guy wants to sell his card to you. So now it becomes either more 50-50 or even more in your favor sometimes. So I'm a little bit more patient sometimes when it comes to buying than I am selling. Because I just think like I do think sometimes it's harder to find a buyer than it is to find a seller.
For sure. Yeah. No.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but like it's.
I've said this stuff before as well, and people have been like, "Not everyone's rich, and not everyone's a whale." And but like, I'm talking obviously relative, right? I'm not saying if you have a limited Bruno Fernandes, don't go and accept £90 for that card, obviously. Right. But like for me personally, if I was trading a rare Bruno and I want to sell mine, if the last sale is 1,950, I'd accept 1,870. You know what I mean? Like I would accept a little bit less. Like it's relative. It's all relative, obviously.
Yeah, I mean it realistically comes down to like 1%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
On any scarcity. I asked you for a good and a bad trade that you made. I didn't give you all the instructions.
No, so you didn't. It's your fault.
Yeah, it is my fault, but I'm going to pull this first one up, which I have to imagine this is the one that you consider good.
This is a good trade. Yeah, I cannot believe this guy accepted this when I sent it.
So Luka Magic, do you know the story of Luka Magic?
No.
So I don't have any idea. This is like a Sorare myth that might actually be true, but I don't know. But Luka Magic started the platform with 50 euros.
No way.
Yeah, and traded his way up to 153,000.
What? Luka
been around a while.
Magic.
But Luka Magic does do trades. Like this isn't a send all of your crap to Luka Magic, and we didn't even talk about that. How there are some traders who just like don't deal with the garbage.
Yeah, the premiums, you know.
Yeah, but that's the story about Luka.
Oh my god! You know, I just thought, like, have you ever seen The Wolf of Wall Street?
Yes.
You know how they describe the different level of hooker in Wolf of Wall Street? That's kind of like traders and Sorare. You got the premiums, and you got like the mid-level ones, and you got the ones where you got to get a tetanus shot after. You know, that's literally like Pavel's like tetanus shot. Then like I don't know.
Luka Magic is apparently here on the top trading.
Yeah, Luka Magic's up here, and then like maybe Basilbot's like he's like $80 an hour, doing well for himself.
Yeah,
he'd flaunt it, you know.
So
this is kind of funny because Basil.
Yeah, at the time of this trade, it looked like you won 2.3 ETH versus 2 ETH.
I was shocked at this. Like so I sent this and then went to bed. Did not expecting him to accept it. Woke up and he'd accepted it. I cannot believe he accepted it. I even though it looks like I paid 0.3 more, like I definitely didn't. Like Neymar was a way more value card.
I mean, Lewandowski was pretty high back in April of 2022.
Yeah, he was.
Actually, hold on. Oh yeah.
I think he was going for like 5K. I paid like $7,000 for the card back in the day. That's my head.
As we do. Here's April 1st. $10,000 on April 1st. That's dollars. Yeah, 3.2 ETH. And then later in the month.
I can see what I paid for that lower actually.
Yeah, 1.5.
Where is it?
Oh, yeah, you can.
So I paid for that Lewandowski.
$10,000.
I paid 3.2 ETH flat. Oh, you can see it as well. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Can't hide anything here. Oh, with a trader, no less.
Yeah. Look at that. It's mad to me though that 3.2 ETH used to be $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's more crazy to me than the price fluctuations in the last year. Like I remember, like my Kimmich, I paid like £12,000 for. I think it was like $16,000 or something. But like that was 5.2 ETH.
Mhm.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
That's
ETH
fun.
used to be like $3,000, $4,000 a coin, man.
Mhm. Yeah, I remember when it hit 4,000, and that's when Sorare was like, "Oh, we can't do this anymore. We can't be paying out all of this ETH every week because
Yeah.
it's too much." I mean, that's pretty much what led them to peg it to USD because it just was, you can't do it. Anyway, love that trade. Do you still have this Neymar? I assume you do.
Yes, sir. I can't
Yeah.
wait for him to come back.
Yeah,
He's done quite well for me, I think.
that's a fun one.
Actually, definitely not. I don't know.
Plenty of time. And then this one, you send me Nicholas Heidel, I don't know, Sadio Mane for Martin van der Voort. Did you consider this good before he left for Saudi Arabia? Or excuse me, bad. You said this as a bad example, didn't you?
Yeah. So when I did this trade, September 2022, it was horrific.
Right.
I'd won Mane, so I didn't. So this is going to sound really stupid, but
I know exactly what you're saying.
When I win a card, I peg zero value to that card. That card has got zero value, in my opinion. I don't see it as this card worth $2,000. I see it as a card worth zero. So I wanted to trade my Hadel. I wanted Van der Voort basically, and I built a little gank stack. But it was like I didn't have any ETH at all. I didn't want to deposit another, like at the time, 2 ETH, I think it was, for Van der Voort. So what I did was I just won Mane and I was struggling to sell him, but he was selling at the time for like 2 ETH.
Yep.
So, but I couldn't find someone to even make me an offer close to that. It was like I was getting like 1 ETH offers. So what I did was I just said screw it, and I'd actually already shout out to Harry Trades. I'd offered Harry Trades Mane for his super rare Cuesta at the time, who was like 1 ETH, and I remember Sean going ape shit at both me and Harry. Me for sending the offer, and Harry for not accepting it. So like that was really funny. And then so then I just sent this to this guy, and he accepted it. And it was like it was stupid. It was a really stupid offer at the time, because had I just been patient, I probably could have got around $5,000 for those 2 cards, and then bought Mane for like, bought Van der Voort for like 3.2 and had 1.8 left over. But I mean, in hindsight, it wasn't bad in the end.
Yeah, see, it worked out. You just knew he was going to Saudi Arabia.
I knew I knew it.
1 year early.
I knew it. He actually broke, like, he got a bad injury like a month later as well, Mane, to be fair. So it wasn't too bad.
He was pretty dreadful at
he was
anyway, so it happens. All right, Haber, thank you so much for sharing all those insights. If anybody wants to hear more from Haber, it's Haber Sorare on YouTube. It's Haber Sorare on.
Trust me, you don't want to hear more from me unless you're Basil bot. Hit me up, Basil.
I noticed that the volume of videos has decreased, so I am here asking for more.
It's my PC, man. I've got a new one. It just got delivered like an hour ago. I'm going to set it up and we'll be good. But until then, unfortunately, my PC fried. So like, that's why.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. There's more coming from It's Haber Sorare. So go over there, subscribe, check out all the videos. Haber, thank you very much, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks for having me on.
Man, that was an elite outro. Elite.